All right. Welcome to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell, and today we're going to be talking about why doing a business audit will ensure you're leveraging your business in the correct way right out of the gate and make sure that you get cash flow coming into your business. So this podcast is simply going to be for someone who's either looking to grow their business, add an additional 10 to 30K a month, or someone who may just be starting out and they're looking to get started in the right way. And so
you are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
As we get into this, I want to kind of break this down because this is going to really be a two-part series. And I want to really go in depth on this so you get a good understanding. So if you're tuning in, maybe grab a pen and paper, take some notes, see some ways that you can begin to shift some things in your business. So, number one, the first thing that we always do is we look at someone's offer. So as we're doing a business audit, I think the biggest thing that you can always start with is like, hey, what are you offering? For most of the clients we work with, they are working in the health and wellness space, transformation space, and coaching space. So really, when it comes down to it, the majority of what everyone is selling is they're selling transformation, they're selling results, but they don't always define that. And so what happens is they try to, sell a diet, they try to sell, a method or something like that, and it gets very confusing. So when we look at the offer, we're going to look at a couple of things. So number one, is it a results-based offer? What does that mean? That means that are you positioning it in a way that's going to get somebody results? Because if you're talking about anything other than those, people are not really interested. So whether you're dealing with health, whether you're dealing with wealth, or you're dealing with relationships, there's always a result someone is after. And if you don't do a good job at positioning what that is, then oftentimes people will not be interested. They'll just think you're speaking a completely different language. Now, being in the health and wellness space for over 20 years, it's probably the number one thing. Most people talk and market like they're talking to other people that are actually in their business. So a chiropractor is going to speak chiropractor. He's not going to speak to his client's problems or his clients' results that they ultimately want. Same with, personal trainers. They often talk like they're talking to other personal trainers. They market like they're talking to other personal trainers instead of talking about the results that they can actually help people get. So when we talk about a results-based offer, there's a few key things that we want to get clear on. Number one is it a clear and tangible result that somebody is after? So losing weight is not a clear, tangible result, but losing 20 pounds in 6 weeks and having a system that does that is. And so we want to make sure that, whatever you're positioning is clear, it's tangible, and it's something that you can actually stand behind and sell. I can't tell you guys how many times I get on the calls with people and simply ask like, hey, it sounds like you have a great offer. Like, why do you think you can't sell it? And a lot of times it just comes back to they're not actually selling the thing that they believe is going to be the thing that changes their clients' results. And so when we look at this, we start constantly thinking about, man, are you in alignment with what you're actually offering? Do you actually believe that this is the vehicle of change for the people you're going to work with? Or do you believe that this is not going to do it? And I can't tell you how many times I hear people say, hey, I actually don't believe in this. Well, what do you believe in? And they begin to tell me what that is. And I'm like, look, why aren't you just selling this instead of this? They're like, well, I don't know if my clients can afford it. And I'm like, well, how many clients do you actually have paying you now for this program that you actually aren't in alignment in and you don't believe in it? And usually they'll say not very many. And I'm like, okay, so why not just sell the thing that you have the most belief in? Because at the end of the day, it could be, You could have the perfect program, but if you don't believe in it, then it's going to be very hard to sell. So sell the thing that you believe in is going to be the thing that's the transformation for change. If you don't, it's going to be very hard to sell people because they'll feel that you're not in congruency with what you're actually offering. So a results-based offer is driven to produce a result. We're not going to offer, sessions or packages or things like that. We're simply offering you, hey, if you want to work with me, these are the results that you're ultimately going to get. And my whole business and my offer is packaged around these results to ensure that you get them. In fact, the process we go through is a reverse engineered process from the offer to the actual work that needs to take place to make that happen. So when we create a results-based offer, we start with the end in mind. We begin with the end in mind, and we begin to reverse engineer the process from that. Okay. Now, the other side of this is like, what are you charging? Most people are charging for a service. They're charging for a period of time. They're charging for a period of sessions or adjustments or appointments. We want to get away from that as much as possible because at a certain point, your value and expertise is worth more than what anybody can pay you per time. So let's take what some people do. Some people do right now is they charge for an appointment. Okay, I come in, I get adjusted. That's X amount of dollars for that period of time I spent with them. Now, whether it's 5 minutes or 20, eventually you're only going to be worth so much per hour that either you extend your hours or you charge more. But at the end of the day, you can't versus saying like, hey, work with me and this is the result you can expect to get. So my value may go from, $30 for 5 minutes. Maybe I can get $100 for an hour, $200 for an hour. But at some point, I'm going to run out of the hour and I'm going to cap out. So results based means that, hey, I'm going to see you for a certain amount of time, but this is the result that you can expect to get from that. And so when we transition to this, we're going to work with someone for a period of time. It may require a certain amount of visits. It may not, but we're not going to base that off of a session price or something like that. We're going to base it off of a total program. So when we look at an offer, there's different variables to that offer. There's your price point. There's your deliverability. There's a clear, tangible result. And then also we're looking at the pain and the problem that we solve. Is this a high level of pain or problem? Is this something that somebody actually wants solved? Do they find value in it? And if they do, how do we position it in such a way that we make it so valuable? Now, I can tell you this, that the majority of offers, you have to be able to improve at least one of three things. So number one, any offer should improve, yourself financially. It should improve your relationships, or it should improve your health. And typically a solid offer will improve at least one of those areas. Now, an offer that's worth a lot more money is going to incorporate 2 to 3 of those things. So if, let's say I'm a business coach, I help you improve your business, which helps you improve, your relationship with your spouse. That makes your offer worth more money because not only are we going to improve your wealth, we're going to improve your relationships at the same time. Now think about it this way. Maybe I'm a trainer and I improve you physical body, that improves. But from doing that, I figure out a way to be like, hey, not only does your physical body improve, but you actually start showing up better at work and your business automatically improves because you're starting to make more money. You got more energy at work. You have, more of these things. So all of a sudden your business starts to improve. And then not only that, you're showing up better at home and you're showing up to be a better husband, father, leader. So your relationships are improving. Now all of a sudden that, training session that used to be worth $80, $100, $150 a session is now worth thousands, because tens of thousands, because it's improving 3 areas of your life, not just one. And the key to a results-based offer is really being able to clearly communicate how many areas of their life that you can begin to improve, not just one, but really being able to tie it back into, hey, these are all the areas of your life that going through my program and getting the results is going to improve. Life's going to improve, relationships are going to improve, your health is going to improve, and your financial wealth is going to improve at the same time. So this is an opportunity for you guys to really paint this out. So clearly having that results-based offer, getting away from charging, low ticket. Here's what I'll say. For most people that are starting a business or, wanting to make 30 to 50K, if you have not made 10K, if you have not made 20K, if you've not made 30K, you should only focus on a results-based offer, which is a more higher ticket program. For the majority of people in the health and wellness space, we're looking at anywhere from $1,000 low end up to, $4,000 to $5,000. You can eventually get up maybe into $7,000 if you include some other stuff with that. If you're in coaching, business, stuff like that, relationships, you're going to probably be somewhere between $4,000 or $5,000 up to $10,000. Once you get over 10, we can go straight business, and we can talk specifically about business systems and other things like that. But high ticket offer is the easiest way to sell someone to make your first 10, 20, 30K. So if you're a new coach, you're a new person that's going virtual, or maybe you're just starting out, it's much easier to sell high ticket than it is to sell low ticket. And I'll explain why. The better the client gets, we'll get into this a little bit more, but the client who buys in at $49.99 is not the same type of person that's going to buy in at $5,000 or $10,000. So it's much easier to sell high ticket than it is to low ticket, because you're dealing with a completely different mindset. Now, that's not always the case, but most of the time, that's what you're going to deal with. So the fastest way to make 10, 20K, have an offer. Let's just say it's $2,500. I need 4 people to do that versus, 100 people paying me $99. So the other thing too is it's a lot harder to find a lot of people when you're just starting out and you're trying to make your first 10, 20, 30K than it is to find 10. All I got to do is go find 10 people. That makes me, that first 10K, or that makes me my first 20K, versus I got to go find 100 people to do the same thing. The other thing is we start talking about fulfillment and other issues. I can manage 10 a lot easier than I can manage 100. And sometimes what you'll realize is that people who buy in at $99 are a lot more work than somebody who buys in at a couple thousand. So, just understand that there's some other principles that go into play. So as we go through your results-based offer in your business and auditing that, those are the things that we're going to begin to look at. How is your offer? How's it defined? Is it clear? Is it tangible? Are you actually helping people get results? Are you in alignment with your offer, or are you completely out of alignment? Because those things matter. Now, step 2, which is what we call your pot of gold. Now, most of us, I will say, all have this potential right in front of you. It's waiting to be tapped into. And so one of the first things that we look at is like, what do you already have access to that you currently are tapping into? Maybe it's an old list of people. Maybe it's your present clients. Maybe it's future clients, friends of future clients, different things like that. But we really take your entire pot of gold and we show you how to tap into that. Now, some of you may be like, well, I've never done this business before, but regardless, everyone has a network. Our goal is to really show you how to leverage it, how to convert it, and how to get people ultimately into your pot of gold to where you can have that immediate impact. Now, most people might say that we talk to, they might say, well, I don't really have much of a social media following. I've seen this work with people with as little as 150 total friends or followers on their social media, and they've still been able to pull out a $17,000 to $20,000 out of this. I've seen people that haven't posted content. I've seen people who have not been active on social media do 20K off of this just by going through it. So don't underestimate the power in it. But I will say that most people do not know how to tap into what they already have access to and really leverage that to the most effective place possible. So as we dive into this more, we look at, okay, what are the resources you already have? Because most of us are constantly looking for new resources. Sometimes we just miss out on what's right in front of us. And remember, this is like a pot of gold is always accessing what's closest to the money. I can't tell you guys how many times people are constantly pushing for cold outreach, cold marketing, when pot of gold just represents who's the closest to the gold. And those are the people that I got to get in front of. Those are the people that I want to get in front of right now. And that's the easiest place to tap into versus constantly, looking around for cold traffic. So it's not that I don't believe in that, but I do believe that we can access this pot of gold. And from what I've seen for all the people that we work with is virtually everybody has this and has access to this. They just don't know how to do it. When I first learned about it, I was kind of like, dude, like how did I not know this was here? And so as I started to learn about it, I started to recognize and see the pattern in so many people. It's like, hey man, why aren't you just doing this right here? And they're like, dude, I've never even thought about that. It's like, but that makes so much sense. So the result of a pot of gold is to see an immediate impact in 30 days or less. And the reason why we do this is because most businesses, most results driven businesses for, coaching and things like that, they can't reverse engineer results as quickly as we can in 2 to 4 weeks. And so that's why what we do makes it so successful. So we see people really dive into this right away. We've had people get as much as 50 to 60K off of this just by understanding how to do it. So step 3 is that we empower you with our unique human funnel system. Now, one of the things that we see is this. I am not the best person at social media. In fact, I will tell you this, like for a long time, I really struggled with, putting myself out there. I really struggled with posting content, doing things like that. But part of the reason why I believe the program we have is so successful is because I wasn't an expert on social media. I just figured some things out. I was consistent and I figured out how I could, do a certain amount of work and have a pretty predictable result that came from that. And so as I started to learn this, I started to also hire other people. I started to look at what they did, what they didn't do, and I began to kind of create my own program and philosophy out of it. I started looking at, man, I don't like these things. I don't like the fact that when you work with some of these ads companies, dude, you may not even see results for 3 to 4 months because there's so many other things. Like it's not just, the ad person's fault. It could be your offer. It could be your messaging. And most of the time, what I see is people are mad at people, doing ads, funnels, things like that. But when you look at what they're doing is like, hey man, have you ever actually tested any of what you're doing organically? And they're like, no, I never have. But I will tell you this, that the people who usually do best, some of the top people in the industries, they've blown up organically before they ever blew up with ads. And I think sometimes that's often overlooked. People just see after they've gotten the result. And so they're like, hey, automatically I got to see the ads that I'm getting. Even one of my mentors from Wake Up Warrior, one of the best marketers I've ever seen, but he was killing it organically long before he ever did ads. Now, everybody in his program wanted to copy him and be like, dude, I need to be running ads. I need to be running funnels. I need to be doing all these things. Yet what they didn't recognize was the 5 to 8 years of organic marketing. And even to this day, you still see the consistency in that. So all these people that we look up to, they have a track record of consistency organically for years. That's originally how they grew their businesses. In fact, a lot of those people, I think that's their number one method of marketing. Now, when they go to add a funnel or they go to add some of these other things, it accelerates what they're doing, but it's really just about scaling at that point. And so, this organic marketing system is really about leveraging your social media profile to generate high quality leads. It's to really nurture a community, to get people to know you, like you, and trust you. Now more than ever, people are not going to websites to get to know you. People are not going to email to get to know you. They're looking at your social media, and if that's not set up, then they're going to bypass you and go to somebody else. And so remember, this is like, if you want people to be loyal customers, they got to be loyal to you and your brand long before they become a customer. Here's the other thing I've noticed is that somebody who may come in from an ad, they're very price aware. They're very, they're kind of like focused on what's the price, only investing a certain amount of money. Somebody who comes in through, more of an organic traffic, they're more problem aware. They're more solution aware. They're aware of you. They're aware of the problems you help people solve, and they're aware of their own problem because you've spoken it to them in such a way that they begin to recognize it in themselves. And then on top of that, they're very aware that, hey, I believe you're the solution to my problem. That's why I'm getting on a call with you. And so it's really not about price at that point. It's simply just about, hey, what's the best thing for them? And so having that organic marketing system, looking at, how you're doing, because virtually a lot of people these days right now are posting content on social media, but they don't know how to get their ideal clients onto their page, looking at their content. They don't know what specific content they need to put out, and they don't know how to get people to engage in that content. And what that means is this: you have to train your audience how you want them to engage with you, or they'll never actually engage with you. And so, it's kind of like Simon Says this, right? In your content, if you're not doing that, then they'll never engage with you. And so most people overcomplicate that, and then they wonder why no one engages. And a lot of times we'll get on with clients and I'll ask them like, hey, what do you want people to do with this piece of content? And they said, I don't know. I've never actually thought of it that way. And I'm like, well, that's how your consumer looks at it, is like, what do they actually want me to do with this? But if you tell them, they'll be much more likely to do it. So during this audit, those are your 3 steps that we're going to take. We're going to look at your offer. We're going to look at your pot of gold. We're going to look at your organic marketing opportunity. And then we're going to get into sales. So this last piece is, sales is huge. Here's what I'll tell you guys. Today, more than ever, you need to learn how to communicate in text. You need to learn how to communicate in DMs. And you need to learn how to communicate on social media, because the average person that we talk to is missing out on $10K a month just by not knowing how to communicate in those 3 areas. And I would even probably say closer to $20K, because they just don't know how to communicate. And so we look at the effectiveness. A lot of people right now, they have automated messaging. They're thinking AI is the answer, things like that. I will tell you this, that a great person at communicating in DMs, text, on social media will blow away any AI, will blow away any automated sequence by 100-fold. And I would be more than willing to put money with that. But what I will tell you is this: sales now more than ever, there's a couple things you got to learn. Obviously, I talked about looking at DMs, text. Those are the ways people communicate nowadays more than any other way. Gone are the days of emailing. They'll still work, but just not as well. You need to learn how to communicate on social media. And most people are afraid to. The other thing is this: most people are constantly reaching out to other people, making it about them and not about the person they're reaching out to. And that's a huge mistake. And so as we kind of walk through this audit, these are the things that we're looking at is like, hey, how well are you at communicating on social media? How well are you at sending out messages? How well are you at communicating through text? Because I can tell you this, the money is lost in those platforms, in those areas, and it's a minimum 10, 20K a month that I see with people that are posting content on social media consistently. If you're not doing it, then obviously, most likely you're not making money there. But even to our brick and mortar business owners, we'll walk in and say, hey, man, here's some things that you need to change how you communicate to customers when they walk in or potential leads that are actually going to help you convert more sales. And so as we talk with people, whether you're in person, whether you're on social media or in text, you have to learn how to communicate and have a results-based conversation. Now, most people don't know what that means, but what it means is this: we always lead with the results people want. And basically, where do they want to go? Because if it's about us, it creates massive resistance. Look, you're never going to take someone where they want to go if it becomes about you and not about them, right? And so here's the thing is, understand this is social media 101 is like the biggest thing is you got to understand where people want to go. If you can figure out how to do that, then it's much easier to take them versus making it about you, your product, here's the thing is like, don't play doctor on social media. What does that mean? That don't diagnose, don't give out medical advice. And I don't even want to say medical advice. Don't give out advice in DMs unless people are paying you, because at the end of the day, no one's going to sign up with you because you play doctor in DMs. You're not going to get anybody healthy because you told them every single thing that they need to do. And the reality of it is none of that even matters. What matters is like, what does that potential prospect want? Because at the end of the day, if you can't figure that out, what you have doesn't really matter. And they'll say, okay, well, thanks for all this information. It was amazing. And they won't do anything with it. So if you truly want to sell people and help them, if you truly want to serve people, you need to find out, well, what is it that they want and where do they want to go? If you can do those things, you will be 50% better than anybody else on social media. If you can be really effective at them, you'll be 90 to 95% better than anybody else, because everybody else is simply pushing out you like, hey, I work for this company, I do XYZ, I'll make you $1 million. And they don't even ask about your business or what you do. They just pitch it all day long. That may be effective, sending out 200-300 messages, but I don't even talk to those people. So sales is a game changer today. So without this audit, you're going to run the risk of offering ineffective services, not having, ways you can grow your business. You're going to continue to struggle to hit that 10, 20K a month, 30K a month. And, you can just work harder or you can work smarter. And without seeing these blind spots in your business, it's going to be really hard for you to go to that next level. So doesn't mean that you can't get results, but it simply just means it's going to be probably harder. So if you guys are looking to do an audit with us, we have audits coming up. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can definitely just email us back, jesse@habitbasedlifestyle.com. You can also reach out to me, Jesse, JESSE.EWELL on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. Send me a DM. Click the show notes. You can go directly to my Facebook or Instagram. Just type in audit. We'll get you scheduled for a 25-minute call. We'll go through this for your business. We'll come out of it and we'll have a real game plan of like, hey, here's exactly what you're missing out on. in revenue in your business. Generally, when we do these, we find 20 to 30K a month in monthly revenue. How many people in here listening to this would that dramatically impact your business today? I know a lot of people. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Me and my team would love to serve you, help you, and grow any way we can. Until next episode, have a great day.
You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.